Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Duel Screens podcast sponsored by MeltedPins.com. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, it is Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
You ever watched that YouTube channel before? It's called Binging with Babish.
No.
So like he does a bunch of food from TV shows, like from SpongeBob, the Krabby Patty, and stuff like that. It's a
Okay.
really great channel. So I was in the shower this morning. I had a shower thought. How has he not done the Sinner sandwich from Deadly Premonition before?
I mean, that seems like a deep cut.
Do you know what's in that sandwich, by the way? Just offhand, if you
No,
know.
I don't.
It's turkey, strawberry jam,
Hmm.
and cereal.
Interesting.
I would love to see that on his show.
Interesting. Why don't you just make it yourself?
Um, I'm not a
What kind of
professional
bread?
chef.
What kind of bread are we talking?
I don't know any kind of bread. I guess white bread, right? Just basic
I
as
mean,
can be.
I feel like a nice brioche would be...
Right. Well, his job is to elevate the recipe. So he's as a basic, he'll do like the white bread, turkey breast, strawberry jam, and I guess generic cereal, like I guess Rice Krispies or like a
I feel
Special
like
K.
I feel like that sandwich would
Crunch
fit in
Factor.
well at like a gas station, like food mart. And speaking of gas station food marts, with us this week is Ian Beckman, co-founder and director. I almost said director, like
You did. You
Elmer
were
Fudd.
doing so well.
I bit
You,
the side
you
of my
had
cheek.
like such a
I bit
perfect
the side of my
segue.
cheek, and it hurt
I
so
was
bad.
like,
And I was
oh
like, "Ow!"
man, his game is so on point today, and then he totally
Let's
fudged it.
rewind. Speaking of gas station food, joining us this week is Ian Beckman, co-founder and director/programmer at Big Sur Games, and is currently developing Cosmo's Quickstop. Hello,
Hi
Ian. Welcome to the
guys.
show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure to have you on this fine show. And maybe we should describe what this show is, because if you've listened to the first 3 minutes, you have no idea what this show is.
It's about sandwiches.
It's about YouTube channels. We review YouTube channels. We pontificate about the future of our favorite YouTube channels.
Yes,
no,
yes.
this is the Dual Screens podcast. This is an interview show where Andy and I bring on an industry guest to tell us their story and whatever fun project they might currently be working on. Everyone in the gaming industry, be it a programmer, an artist, or a voice actor, has a story to tell, and this is their platform to do so. The Dual Screens podcast posts each and every Thursday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and pretty much anywhere under the sun where you could find podcasts. You could also find everything, of course, on duelscreens.com. That's DUEL, like fighting, screens.com. Please consider leaving us a review if you listen on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show out tremendously. And remember, on this same feed, we post currently the Nintendo Dual Screens podcast, which Andy and I host, and we go over the Nintendo news. And starting in the new year, that show is becoming the Dual Screens Games Cast, where we're going to talk about all video games, since the next gen is very quickly ramping up in intensity. So we are going to be transforming that show. So please subscribe to this channel, this podcast network, and you're going to get tons of content in 2020. You can also support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/NDSpodcast. We cannot continue to grow without all of your support, and your support is going to help take us to things like PAX East, where we actually met Ian the first time, which I think is a great way to start off. So we at PAX East, it was our first PAX East working together, and we came across this game, Cosmo's Quickstop. It was not on our to-do list. It just happened to be one of those games that caught our eye. And then we got our hands on it and got to talk. I believe we spoke to you, Ian, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, at first it was somebody else, and they were like, no, please don't talk to me. Talk to,
The guy with the
talk to
beard
Ian.
over there, you want to talk to him.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's in charge.
So, you gave us your pitch about Cosmo's Quickstop. So why don't you give our listeners, what is Cosmo's Quickstop?
So Cosmo's Quickstop is a interstellar gas station management game. And so what that means is basically it plays kind of like a time management game, like Overcooked or like Diner Dash or something like that. But it's kind of leveling it up a little bit. So you play a janitor named Morven, and you're running around this station. And aliens are coming on in, and they want things like car washes. They want their gas refills, but they also are like complaining the bathrooms are too dirty, or they might want an electro spa therapy thing, or they might want to buy a galactic lotto ticket. So every time they want one of these things, you have to run to kind of a spot in the station and do a little mini game. So it's kind of about time management, like taking care of everybody before they get too mad, they leave. A lot of little things coming all at you all at once, and hopefully you can kind of survive it.
Have you ever worked in the restaurant business? Food service?
I not directly. I used to work at a nursing home, and I helped do food stuff there, which is its own brand of kind of thing, because your customers were irrational sometimes just because they didn't realize where they were or things like that.
Like they're busy dying, so they were a little bit irrational.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not direct. I've never worked at like an actual restaurant or anything like that. No.
Because honestly, like, I mean, Andy, your folks owned a restaurant, owned a diner,
And I used to work it, when I was a kid.
Yeah, like you are describing what it is to be a manager of a restaurant. Like all of the fires you have to put out and prevent. Like they teach you the thing that they try and teach you is learn how to prevent fires, not put them out. Like you shouldn't have fires to put out, not literal fires, but like all of the problems that could happen in a shift. You should preemptively nip them in the bud. But it never works out that way because you can't predict when 400 people are going to walk in your restaurant in a 90-minute cycle. Like you just you can't predict that. And those are the feelings I got when I played what you had of Cosmo's Quickstop, because like you're prioritizing in your head like, okay, who's the angriest? Let's deal with them first. But wait, if I take care of these things that are directly in front of me and get them done really quickly, then those people I don't have to worry about at all.
Yeah.
And then, because the person that's really angry is going to be angry no matter what you do. They're angry. They've already reached their apex. So
And
if I just...
you're playing with, that's how that turns out.
Right, exactly. Like they've already written their 1-star review. I'm not changing their mind. But at least I could put out that fire after all the other ones are prevented. Like, and I'll be completely honest with you. Like, I've been out of the restaurant business for almost, I think it's coming on 5 years now. I've been out of the restaurant business. It'll be 5 years next year, in a couple of months, and you really did like trigger that muscle memory of prioritizing and shifting around and just like stacking all of that together. So where did the concept of that sort of management come from? Like, were you inspired by real life, or were you inspired by other video games? Like, what made you come up with that mechanic?
So it's we definitely pull inspiration from a major game called Cook Serve Delicious, which is created by David Galindo, Chabagins on Twitter. But like, we had a lot of fun. My wife and I had a lot of fun playing that game, and we were currently working on Big Sur's first project that we ended up canceling. But while we were working on that, we were playing Cook Serve Delicious. We were like, this is really fun. And then we went to a game jam. It was a global game jam. I think the theme was ritual with like an exclamation point at the end. And so we were like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Well, let's like do something modeled off of Cook Serve Delicious, but bring it into 3D space. Because the whole core team we're all originally like 3D artists. So everything 3D for us. But so we created this game, and you were an employee in a call center in hell. And so you had to run around and
Mm.
like you get requests for like, oh, we need a haunted Ouija board, so you have to run over the Ouija board and like do little like movements, or they would be like, we need fire and brimstone, or we need someone to speak in tongues. And so you're running around doing all this stuff, and then every time you ran into another coworker, you had to type "Hail Satan." So it was this whole thing, um, and we was kind of playing off the concept of like ritual summoning and stuff like that, but also like office rituals. So we were kind of trying to play it at both ends. Anyway, so we did that game jam, and we were like, okay, this is hilarious and like bad but fun at the same time. But then we kind of put that aside, and we kept on working on this other game until we realized there was no way we were going to get that done. So we like canceled that, and we had this like big panic attack. We are like, well, what are we actually going to do? Like, is this just the end of Big Sur? Like, what are we going to do? And we came back to that game jam, and we were like, well, this is pretty great. Let's get rid of the, hell stuff. Let's put it in space because we could do whatever we want in space. And then it kind of just went from there.
I don't know, that hell thing sounds really cool though. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want that game. Bring
There's
that on
always a
back.
chance we might finish it up, polish it up as a little treat for people.
So you mentioned, not for a huge sidestep, but you and your wife working on this game together.
Yes.
So we've had guests on the show where it's usually siblings who work as a team, but this is our first spouses teaming up to make a game together, I think, right, Steven?
Sure.
This is a first for us.
I think so. Yeah.
So what?
I think we've had spouses that like do the business end of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's that dynamic like on a day-to-day? Because that would drive me insane to work with my my fiance. I'd probably just put a hole in his face every chance I got.
No, it works out pretty well. We met in college working on a project together. And so our relationship kind of grew out of, working together, spending time together and stuff like that. So these days, like, it's pretty good. We try to really respect each other's space and stuff like that. But I mean, we do spend like 23 hours together out of a day. Our desks are right next to each other. Like we both work from home and stuff like that. Erin does all the animations in the game, and she helps do with the game design, stuff like that. And then she does a little bit of the business stuff, but neither of us really do a lot of business stuff. But no, it's good. It's we make a very serious point of like trying to listen to each other and try to understand like we have very different points of view on stuff from our backgrounds and stuff like that, even though we spend so much time together. So like you have to realize like when we're disagreeing, it's because we come from different places. And so you can have like two correct ideas that are conflicting with each other. And so you kind of have to you either merge them together or you make concessions to like who feels more passionate about something or something like that. But then also like another key factor is that, we have one other core team member, Brian, who he lives in another state, but we work with him every day and stuff like that. But he can definitely come in and be a tiebreaker vote when we really need it.
He's the mediator, like
yeah.
Smart, very smart.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's a good dynamic. I definitely don't think it would work for everybody, but it works for us.
Let's say,
Give us an example of like your typical headbutting matchups.
Okay.
Like, what's like one simple thing that happened during development that you guys just butt heads on?
Let's see. I mean, it's UI, a lot of marketing. Here's a good one. For when an asteroid is approaching the station, you get this big alert. You get a flashing light, and you get this big loud sound, and you get a little alert icon pop up. And so that's all good because originally when we started making the game, like we just had the little alert icon and pop up, and people just kept missing the fact that there's an asteroid going on. And I was like,
That's a big thing to miss.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
I
like
want
we
to
had
point
very
that out somehow.
yeah, definitely, it's very dangerous, at least for your customers. Um, but so we had this icon, like this whole alert system set into the UI, and I was like, okay, we gotta like push the concept of this alert better. We've got to like teach it better in the tutorial. We've got to like really focus on that. And Aaron was just like, no, we just need a big old alert siren and some flashing lights. So like it doesn't matter if they're looking at the alert or something, it just needs to be everywhere. And so I was like, I don't know. I mean, we're giving up. Like I really want this alert system to do it. And it's like, so I do the programming. So oftentimes we often try what the easiest way first is kind of like our motto of the company. So if we have a disagreement about something and we're not sure which direction to go, we'll try whichever one's easy. So mine being we don't do anything and just have more text about it. We tried that and it wasn't working. And we finally try Aaron's idea, which is just put in loud noises and flashing lights, and it works perfectly. And it's just like, of course it works. Of course it works. But I was just like, I don't know, it's a little stuck in my way. But that's the thing is, I think we're both very good at admitting when our ideas don't work. Like we don't get stuck to them when we see the failure. It's like, okay, move on to the next thing.
See, I would just brag about that, like I told you so. You son of a bitch! If you just listened to me in the first place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me try and understand that specific situation. So, if you were maintaining a gas station in space and an asteroid was coming at you, would you not want the giant sirens and flashing lights warning you that you're of impending death? I'm just curious. Wouldn't the system be very loud?
It depends. How big of an asshole are the customers, Steven?
Yeah,
because
it's exactly.
Sometimes you welcome the asteroid.
No, I mean, you don't want to scare your customers. Like, I want the little pop-up on my phone notification, but I don't want the alarms going off scaring the customers. I want the customers to stay.
See, that's true. Steven,
Yeah.
if you were in a restaurant, would you want to? There's a huge comet hurtling towards the establishment while you're eating your grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, really ruin the grilled cheese.
I wouldn't want that.
I would accept flaming garbage truck plowing through the front door. I would accept that. It doesn't have to be a world-killing asteroid. I think I'll be okay if I missed a few weeks while we repaired the building.
Yeah.
So what's the touring been like for you guys? Because you were at PAX East. I don't know what you did after that. What has the reception been for the game as you take it around all to these different places?
It's been really great. We last year and the year before that we were like touring a bunch. Like we did PAX East. We've done PAX East several times. We've been PAX West. We've done MomoCon in Atlanta. We've done a lot of smaller stuff around us. We've been all over the place. And what's so interesting is like once people have a controller in their hand, they love it. It's like it's a good fit for gamers and non-gamers alike. But the biggest problem is just for people to understand what the game is before they're playing it. Because it's so unique. I mean, there's like all these bright colors, all this information on the screen, and people are just like, I don't know what's going on. So that's the biggest challenge for us, which is why we try to get the demo in as many hands as possible, because we're very confident once someone's playing the game, they're going to like it. But that step has been difficult for us.
What's been your biggest takeaway from feedback? Because you've had it now at PAX East and other conventions, and also the demo, which is available out for download.
Yes.
What's been the biggest thing you've heard feedback-wise to help improve the game from when you guys started making it?
It's been the tutorial. Really, we've iterated on the tutorial maybe 20 or 30 times at this point. And that's a big part of it is because the game itself, like it has a lot of like front-loaded learning you need to do. Like it doesn't kind of jump into the same kind of known elements that gamers know. Like there's no like jump or attack or something like that. It's much more like find the refill, do this unique motion, find the car wash. It's a different, unique mini game. So in the actual tutorial, like finding out the order that we need to teach stuff, finding out what we need to teach and what is okay if they don't understand. Um, those kind of things are really important. Teaching the navigation of the station itself, like where things are located, are very important. And also, like at first, we kind of taught everything at once, and then we're like, okay, play the game. Now we teach one thing, and then we're like, okay, play the game for like a minute. Now then we teach another thing, and we're like, okay, play the game for another minute with those two things, and then so it kind of eases you in. But it is very tough at conventions versus someone sitting down to play the game like when it's finally released, because conventions you got to front load as much. Basically, you have to max line like entertainment value in the shortest period of time without overloading the player, stuff like that.
Right.
When someone's sitting down and playing it in more long form, like we can take a much more leisurely approach on like how we kind of dish out the content and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I was playing the game at PAX last year, or this year rather, one of the things I did notice was that as you were teaching kind of one thing at a time, but you did have to stack those things pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And, kind of was just like, okay, these 4 things now. Here's how to do it. And that was one of the things that I got lost in, was the navigation, is remembering where everything is. You kind of, I kind of found myself just kind of popping in an area and being like, okay, what can I do here since I'm here? That kind of thing. And, Andy and I were just awful. We were just awful.
We weren't that bad.
We were just awful, Andy.
They didn't totally hate us, our customers.
People were
Our
on the
clientele
floor.
was like moderately satisfied with our customer service.
I don't know about that. I feel like we left much to be desired in our Quickstop.
I was praying
Our
for an
intergalactic
asteroid
Quickstop.
between you and me. It was like, God,
Yeah,
just take us now.
Take these old ladies out of my life, please.
I will say
Please.
that the multiplayer tutorial is less polished than the single player tutorial too. It's much easier for a single player to kind of understand if multiple people are playing together. We try really hard to make sure both people get every step, but it doesn't work all the time. And so we try to constrict players more. Like I believe you like kind of like stuck in your own docking area for a little bit, and then we let you out. But we're still working on the multiplayer stuff.
Why do you think it's not working?
I think one of the bigger issues is that we need to make the game harder for the multiplayer to be fun. But we haven't found a good balance between the variety of players that are playing the game. So like, right now it's tuned a little hard because oftentimes if one player, if you have like 1.5 competent players, like it's fine. But if you only have like a total of 1 competent player or something like that, it's going to be too hard. But the game is really boring if it's too easy. So I don't know. It's very hard to get that kind of balance right first. And we've just had multiplayer around for less time, and it's harder for us to test it and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we had 0 competent players during that demo.
Yes.
I'm curious, what is the game? How does it build on the Quickstop management concept, like from the early on versus, let's say, the mid to end game parts?
Sure.
Like, how much will it really throw at you over the course of the entire game, without spoiling too much of what's in there?
We're pretty open about everything in there, but so there's currently like 19 different mini games that you can have. I think you can have like 14 or 15 of them equipped all at once, theoretically, but that would be kind of a crazy thing to do. So there's kind of 19 mini games. Each mini game has its own kind of control schemes as you guys played, but everything is upgradable. And these upgrades are not like, oh, you do make a little bit more money or something like that. It'll be like kind of drastically change how they work, especially their capstone abilities. So like the electro spa therapy machine. It's kind of this machine that you turn on when aliens want it, and they want it and they get shocked, and that's that, and you turn it off. And if you leave it on for too long, it breaks and you can't use it for a period of time. Later on,
man. I thought you were gonna say if you leave it on too long, they fry and they die. I was like, oh my god,
intense. That'd be too intense. No, it's kind of interesting because the upgrade kind of makes it so when you leave it on, people who've gotten shocked can then shock other people who might not have wanted it, but you'll still make money from it. And so then it becomes this whole other thing where like, okay, I want to leave the machine on, but I have to make sure I turn it off right before it breaks, but then I can get all this extra money and stuff. So the game really changes as you upgrade. Let's see. The other big thing, I believe you two played in the 2-arm docks. So there were 4 total docks, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
So in the campaign, that gets up to 8 total docks, which obviously is double the trouble. So and then there's also right now there's 4 different boss fights in the game, which are like these unique experiences that we kind of ask you to play the game in a different way or throw some weird stuff at you or something like that. So it gets pretty crazy. I think the last calculation I did, which was pretty rough and a while ago, was that there's over 30 plus million variations of station layout you can have with all the different upgrades and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
So how do you build a campaign around this? Like, is there, like when you look at it Overcooked, like you're going from different maps to different maps and they're themed differently and you're cooking different foods based on those maps and stuff like that. And you're just trying to achieve a high score so that you can move on to the next one. What is the progression system in the story mode?
Sure. So, story-wise, the big thing is that a rival gas station moves in across the universe from you, and it's run by Dr. Quasar, who is he says robots are everything, and so it's kind of a man versus machine kind of story arc where he's saying everything should be automated, and you're saying that service is a smile. So a lot of the progression of the campaign is about Quasar messing with you and you having to upgrade your station. So the first boss, well, let's say, so as you unlock different amenities as the campaign goes on. So you start off with basically just your gas, your refills and stuff like that. You unlock like the coffee showers or the electro spa therapy. As every day you use one of those amenities, that amenity gains experience points and levels up. You can upgrade things based on their level and based on whether you have any upgrade points, which you earn by getting high scores or completing campaign goals. So it's kind of a combination of repetition and high score hunting. And so those things go together to kind of progress you through these goals. And these goals will be like, there'll be simple things like try out the new amenities or like get a high score or something like that. But there'll also be like, oh, there's a new type of alien coming today. And there's going to be special things happening. You just got to kind of live through that. Or there'll be your rival planted tentacle monster on your station, and you need to throw it a birthday party to chill it out, or something like it's just there's this
what? Well, this took a left turn. Yeah, you have to do gas station things and also throw a birthday party for a monster. Okay.
Yeah. There's like a lot of we put in a lot of really funny things to kind of push the story along. It's kind of interesting because, and as you were saying, like, where like every day is like 6 minutes, or it can get a little longer, and you're kind of playing the same game every time with like you swap in different amenities with different experiences, but that core is the same. And then everything in the campaign is to give you reason to play another day of that,
So how long would the game be, like hours wise, when all is said and done?
Our last playthrough took about 13 hours.
Oh, that's pretty beefy.
Nice. That's a
nice chunk of time.
Yeah, it should be good, and that's not 100%. there'll be also be like kind of these challenges to unlock more costumes and stuff like that. And we're still very much in developing the campaign, especially the second half of the campaign is very loosey goosey right now. So it could get longer, it could get shorter. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, that's where we're at.
Loosey goosey, you say?
Loosey goosey.
So how far along are you guys? Like, is there like a ETA for release, or like what's the game plan? What's the roadmap for Quickstop?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And
I mean, you
don't
don't have
want
to
to
give us
answer
firm
it.
dates, but like,
No, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, we're aiming for spring, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Um, we were having some talks with some people that might change some stuff, so who knows. Um, Basically, all we can really look at is like where we are internally, and it was, I think, 2 or 3 months ago we completed 100% playable, whereas you could start the game, play all the way to the end, which is what took us 13 hours. um, a lot of that was very fun, a lot of it wasn't very fun, and so we're going back and kind of changing the pacing, removing some of the random stuff that's going on in it to kind of smooth it out for a better player experience. I mean, it's tough to know. We're very close to being like content complete, but the pacing, the balance of the economy, and then there's also like we still need to put like rebindable keys in there and stuff like that, like menu system stuff like that. So that's going to take a while, just because we have 19 different mini games that you have to rebind, and none of those have to conflict with anything else and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. We're aiming for spring.
what the hell's a rebind? Can you explain that?
so you can.
It sounds like a Kingdom Hearts DLC. You're gonna have to explain this to me.
No, it's like so if you want to be able to move with different keys than WSAD or something like that, you can change those keys.
And because movement is sometimes different depending on the mini game, you need to really figure that shit out, huh?
Yeah, because I mean, we use a lot of crazy combinations of stuff, and like
Right.
we have one mini game where you like bring a potato battery with you and you're just constantly mashing a button. But then we have other mini games like where you have to hold a button which locks your camera so you can do something with the camera stick or something like that. But those can conflict where if you're mashing the button to charge the thing, and that is also the lock camera button, when you run by that thing, you lock your camera accidentally, stuff like that. So it's like things are very complicated.
So
It sounds like you're running your own little Cosmos Quickstop over
yes,
there.
you are.
Yes.
So on the point of mini games, like when you're designing those and they're going into the game, was there ever a moment where one didn't quite make it or didn't work out for you guys? Like, this is a great idea on paper, but it doesn't translate well in the game format. And what does that look like? Like, what's been left on the cutting room floor, essentially?
A lot has been left on the cutting room floor. I mean, one of the very, very first things we cut was the mandatory space snaps, which was this government mandated thing where you had to stop whatever you were doing, run to the break room, and take a nap. And you napped take a siesta, and you napped by pressing Z as fast as you could to get through your nap as fast as possible, and then run back. Which is like, it's one of those ideas which is like, oh, this is hilarious, and I'm like, imagine like a streamer doing it and being like, but then when they actually play it, it's just like so frustrating and like just not a good idea. So like we cut that.
I would do that just one time in the game. Just have it happen one time at some point, like in a really stressful moment, like the alarm bell's going off, it's time for your mandatory nap.
Yeah, I mean, and we had it in the game where it literally all of the controls basically locked you out, and you could only move and go to the nap room.
I got it. When the asteroid's coming towards the station, then the nap alarm kicks in.
That was the idea, and they even took up separate spaces in the UI, so they definitely were planning on them happening at the same time.
Oh Jesus! Oh, it's
Yeah,
diabolical. So I
yeah.
guess, I guess the hell thing didn't quite escape the
No.
vision. Some bits did carry over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's hell in space.
yeah, yeah. But I
So how
mean,
did you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was just saying, like, you have to design, like, we all these mini games tend to be like pretty simple, and so we can iterate like very quickly on them, um, to see like, oh, let's try this combination of buttons, like holding this button and pressing this button while you're moving is kind of cool. Let's put that in a game, see if it's fun. If it is, then we wrap it however we want. So it's a lot of experimenting of just like what what is one more fun thing we can jam into the player doing that they're not, if they're not using their pinky yet, what can we make them do with their pinky while they're doing this other stuff.
It's kind of like reverse engineering mini games.
Yeah, it kind of is.
So let's talk a little bit about before, when you're doing game jams and all that other stuff. Is that how you got started in developing games, or was this something you were doing for years prior to the Hell's game and Cosmo?
No, I was an industry animator for about 5 years. Um, so I went to school for animation, 3D animation. That's what I my degree in. And I worked at like kind of random companies around Chicago doing animation with them, or specifically a lot of motion capture animation,
Okay.
which I hate working with because it's just like, as a creator, you like lose all sense of like authority over your creation. Like it's very much more just like, oh,
Mm.
clean these things up, mush these things together, stuff like that. So I was doing that for like 5 years, something like that. Before that, I was working in like car commercials, stuff like that, like crappy 3D car commercials, like stuff like the level of like, like the general kind of stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
So yeah, it's been kind of a long road, but uh, basically, my wife and I were animators on a project together that went very long and was kind of a serious subject nature. And so when that project wrapped, we were just both like, I was so sick of like doing realistic animation on these like depressing projects, stuff like that. We want to make something cartoony and fun and really like pushing a 3D animation beyond realism. Because I mean, why animate something when it's real? Um,
Yeah, when you could just make the real thing.
exactly.
Star Wars.
Yeah, and so like we were like, when we started our company, we were like, we have these tenets like, it has to be like pushing forward like 3D cartoon animation. It has to be a game we both want to play. It has to be family friendly, stuff like that. So like that's basically where we were, and that's how we started the company, and then we kind of went from there.
Yeah, there was like a Pixar like charm to you guys' style.
Thank you.
It looks very irresistible. But what was the game you were working on that was so serious and in tone that you were like, I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore.
It was a game called We Are Chicago, which was created by a good friend of ours. But it was basically kind of a combination of true stories about high schoolers living on the south side of Chicago and dealing with the like gang violence and drug influences that are kind of in there. And
Mm.
so the idea behind it was that you would, someone who was outside of that kind of sphere could play it and get a very true sense of what's going down there. It's not, you know, trying to kind of remove the stereotypes about the situation, stuff like that. And I
That
think
looks
it was a
really
really,
intense.
yeah,
Sorry,
it
go
was
ahead.
really
I
intense,
see
and
it
I
right
think
now. Oh
it
boy.
was a very, I think, good project to work on, and like a very good idea. It just, I think, got a little beyond us in scope a little bit. So it just took a long time, and I don't think we quite got the final product that we were hoping for. But I mean, I A plus for intent and trying to help make the world a better place for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and and in one review it got a 3 out of 10. Another one got a 7 out of 10. So
Yeah.
up and down kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I never this one slipped through my radar.
They did. Most radars it slipped through.
Well, that's like most games. Hopefully, not Cosmo won't be slipping through anybody's radar.
Yeah.
So, what kind of games do you and the wife play together? Like, what do you play games together? Do you try and stay separate so that you don't punch each other in the throat?
No, we do.
How's that relationship?
We do everything together, really. We were talking about, even like after this interviewing, taking our Switch to a bar and playing Luigi's Mansion together. We play games together all the time, like Overcooked, stuff like that. We played Don't Starve together. We played Minecraft, Sea of Thieves. We love gaming together.
That is so cute. I'm gonna puke. It's just, I can't.
My wife and I tried to play Little Big Planet 2 together, and she just wouldn't step on the fucking Switch. She just wouldn't jump on the goddamn Switch. And I'm like, give me your fucking controller. And I jump on the Switch, and then I'm using 2 controllers, and she's like, you are no fun. I'm leaving. And we didn't play again until Overcooked. And then we were playing that, and even that one got to the point where I'm just like, because she was actually better than me at that game, which is not hard to comprehend because I'm so bad at that game. And actually, all right, I'm not bad at the game. I don't like pressure. So I like to, if I know what I'm doing, it's good. But when you're throwing new shit at me and then you're telling me I have 30 seconds to do it,
I think
I
a running
panic.
clock gets to you really quickly for some reason.
It does.
You just can't.
It
deal with
does. It does. But even, and now I guess we'll open a therapy session here. But even when it's like not a clock, but like I know I'm near the end of something. Like if I'm writing a paper, like when I used to write a paper in school, if I'm on that end of the paper, I just freak out. Like I go like so fast. I'm like, it's almost over. And then I'm like finished, and then like my handwriting's all crooked and shit. Yeah, we don't play games anymore together.
I think our favorite, and I think I recommend this to a lot of people who want to play games together, is there's a game called Pixel Junk Monsters. It's kind of an
that's
old
a great
game.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best cooperative games that in existence because, there's no mechanical challenge. Like it's just running around doing these little things. It's very easy to, mistakes don't matter that much. It's not like you press one button and everything's ruined. It's very much like, oh, maybe I should have spent 2 more seconds leveling this tower versus that tower, but it doesn't really matter. Also, when you're leveling tower, you can, you have a second to breathe. Like it's not go, 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 go. So I love that game. I love that game. We both do. I think that's the only game, one of the only games we ever 100%ed all difficulties, everything together.
I think the last game that I played with the fiance was Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time.
That was tough.
And I think I was on couch duty for like a day or two because it's like, if you're not like a hardcore gamer or like just the need to have to win, because I just can't tolerate mistakes that are so easily avoidable. I'm just like, can you just not do that again? And I get too judgy.
Yeah.
And I forget that, it's me and my fiance having some quality time. This should be fun. No, stop sucking. Get good.
I don't like explaining mechanics of a game.
Our lives are on the line.
The controller.
Oh yeah, me either.
Yeah, that's tough.
Like the second I'm like, no, you have to. No, you see, the left one moves you, and then the right one moves your eyes.
So I guess
your head.
I guess the real question here for Ian is, can I play this game with my fiance, and also, will it break off the engagement at some point? This is what I want to ask you.
I mean, one of our loading tips is like, it's okay to yell at your friends. So,
I'll get a game to tell me that. I do it all the time.
No, we do a lot to try to make it easier for people who don't a ton of gameplay experience. Things like locking the vertical camera and stuff like that. So it's much harder to kind of lose yourself. But I think at a base level, there is a skill kind of required for it. Although we have been talking about like kind of putting in different difficulties. So hopefully you can play with whoever you want, but we'll see. Right now, it's hard.
You'll be the first to know.
Yeah, thanks.
Once I'm a single man again.
Guess what? And it's all your fault. So how can people play Cosmos Quickstop? How can they follow you? How can they follow the game along?
Sure, you can basically any direction you look, you can find us. There's a free demo on itch.io or itch.io. I don't know how people say it. So you can check that out. That's fully free demo. You can play it. We have a Discord. You can join. I don't know how to link a Discord via voice. You can check out our Twitter at Big Sur Games. We just started streaming game development, so it's like Twitch TV / Big Sur Games. You can wishlist on Steam, Cosmos Quickstop. Basically, anywhere you would imagine there is information about that game, there is information about the game.
Are you guys aiming for a console release, or just focused on the Steam build for the time being?
We have a Switch dev kit.
Hell yeah.
That's all.
There you go.
That's all that matters.
All right, before we get into the final segment of the show, which is all rapid fire questions, I want to tell the listeners about our sponsor, Melted Pins. Ladies and gentlemen, meltedpins.com is the home of all the art and goodies of artist Kelsey Lynn. Kelsey Lynn has done art for all different podcasts and websites, and including this very website, dualscreens.com. She's done comic strip for us. Her tattoo art inspired art is on, she puts them on pins, on buttons, stickers, canvas bags, t-shirts, coffee mugs, you name it, she puts it on there. And they're all hand drawn. You're not going to get any CG stuff. It's all her art with her hands done on, I think she does it on a tablet, but everything is hand drawn. And if you go to meltedpins.com and you use the checkout code NDSmelted, you will get 10% off of your purchase. That's right, our listeners get this special deal, and only our listeners, and I confirmed that. Only us, guys. Meltedpins.com, checkout code NDSmelted, and you get 10% off your purchase. You can follow Melted Pins on all social media at Melted Pins. One more time, that's meltedpins.com, promo code NDSmelted for 10% off. All right, let us do our favorite way to end the show. It's just a way to get to know you a little bit better. It's just some rapid fire questions. Literally, we have none of these questions written down. Andy and I are just going to spitfire some shit at you, and you're going to tell us what the hell's up.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sure.
All right. Top Gun 2, did we need it?
No.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
Is cereal a soup?
No, cereal's disgusting.
Oh, my.
Well, I'm taken aback by that.
Interesting.
Soup is delicious. Cereal's disgusting.
Interesting.
Big dogs or small dogs?
Big dogs.
Same question, but for hot dogs and pigs in a blanket.
Ooh, hot dogs. Hot dogs.
Favorite type of muffin?
Blueberry, I guess.
Blueberry's it's a solid choice.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Blueberry's my go-to. I also like a banana nut.
I'm more of a corn
like a
muffin
banana
kind
nut.
of guy, or a brand.
Yeah, well, you're just so boring.
It's so regular.
That's the Greek diner in you. That's
It is.
what that
It really very much is. Yes, that is.
Yeah, you cut the top off, you toast it a
That
little
is like
bit.
your most keen observation of our entire friendship ever.
What is your go-to snack at a state fair?
I guess a elephant ear.
Nice. Good choice. Good
That's a
choice.
great choice. If you could slap one person in the face with no consequences, who would it be and why?
That's not a quick
God,
hit, Andy.
that's a
You know,
tough one.
you know what? You know what? Leave out the why. Just give me the answer.
I got no. I'm not a very violent person.
You gotta be. It's a question. Pick someone.
My brother.
There you go.
What? Excellent. Excellent. I like that. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Nintendo or Sega?
Nintendo.
Is Jimmy Kimmel funny?
At times.
Okay. When you're in your car by yourself, what do you think of?
New D&D classes.
Me too. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
No.
Is that your beard or just your eyebrows?
If you could make the next game in any series, what game would you want to make?
Next game in any series. The We Were Here series.
We Were Here. I don't know if I know that one.
It's a co-op puzzle game.
Andy, do you know about this
I
game?
don't. See, this is why you do the podcast. Learn about new shit.
When it comes to co-op games, like I know all of them because we play them.
What?
It's got a 9 out of 10 on Steam, Andy.
Ooh, potential guest, yes. What if Zelda was a girl?
What if indeed?
Cold weather or warm weather?
Cold weather.
What are your thoughts on tiny pears?
Tiny pears, like
Tiny
a fruit.
pears, yes. Not tiny
Why is
pairs of things, just tiny pears. The fruit, like not small balls or little tits.
I guess I wish they were normal sized.
What is your favorite alcoholic drink?
A nice bourbon.
Nice, yeah. What is your favorite bourbon?
I like George T. Stagg.
That's a good one.
White Claw, yes or no?
Sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You're both just trash people right now.
Hell yeah.
Get a nice bourbon answer. There was some confidence there. This is a good human being. I like him. He's got a great, majestic beard. And he fucking drinks White Claw.
I feel like I'll drink any alcohol you put in front of me.
See, I knew I liked you. What do you want to be known for?
Making people laugh, making people smile.
Accomplished. Mounds or Almond Joy?
Almond Joys.
Okay.
What do you think you're going to be known for?
This podcast.
This is it. This is the pinnacle. You've done it.
I mean, split decision. I think I'm going to be known for making people laugh and smile, but I'm also think I might never be known. It's in between those points.
Sour Patch Kids or Swedish Fish?
Sour Patch Kids.
That's also a good choice. I see. Let me think. We'll do a couple more. Popcorn or potato chips?
In what context?
Just if there are a bag of popcorn or a bag of potato chips in front of you, which one do you choose to snack on?
Potato chips, but I would never eat potato chips in a movie theater.
No, I mean, come on, who would? I mean, I guess nachos count, but they're not really potato chips. But like, I would totally eat some nachos and cheese. Have you ever dipped your popcorn in the nacho cheese?
Yes, it was disappointing.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
No way. Did you put too much?
God.
I think I did too much.
The key is just to do a tiny little dab and just get a hint of that nacho flavor. It is so delicious.
Right,
Try it again.
I'll try it again.
Are you gonna go see Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't. I'm kind of done with the quick hits. I was just asking you.
Yeah, I'll see Star Wars. Why not?
How would
All right,
you?
Andy,
I got the last one.
Okay, go ahead.
How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale from 1 to, say, Mariah Carey?
Uh, let's see. I'll split it up. Talent, I would say garbage can. Passion, total eclipse of the heart.
Love it.
Love it. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Total eclipse of the heart.
I like it. Yeah. All right, now this is the final question, and we've asked it of all of our guests. So I need you to think about this. Actually, don't think about it. Just say off the top of your head. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Clear your mind. Take a breath. Relax. Andy or Steven?
Andy.
Ooh,
Nice.
I
Good
love
choice.
I love
It's
it.
2-1, Andy. It's 2 to 1.
2 to
buddy.
1.
Two.
2 to
I like
1.
I like it. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. You were a true sport, Ian.
It was my question.
Your wife is one lucky ass lady. I'll tell you that much.
I'm a lucky ass man.
Now you're going to go to the bar and play
I'm
video
just an
games.
ass
I'm
man.
very jealous.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We are at NDS Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at Pants Guy. And Ian, where could everybody find you in Cosmos Quickstop one last time?
You can find me at Ian M. Beckman, and you can find Cosmos Quickstop at Big Sur Games.
Awesome. And remember, folks, we do have a Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/Dual Screens Podcast. You could also follow us on Twitch. We are at twitch.tv/Dual Screen Streams. What's your Twitch channel that you started, or whatever, your streaming channel that you started streaming game dev stuff?
It's twitch.tv/Big Sur Games.
Big Sur. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you very much to Andrew Douglas for all of our podcast art. Thank you, Matt Murray, for our logo. And of course, our theme song, Retro Chatter, is by Bradley Parsons at Train Sound Studio. If you want to email the show, if you have any questions for any of our devs, you can do so at feedback@ndspodcast.com. If you want to buy our merchandise, go to teespring.com/stores/Dual Screens Podcast, I believe. No, Dual Screens Shop, sorry. And you could support us on Patreon at patreon.com/NDS Podcast. That is it, folks. This has been yet another very exciting installment of the Dual Screens Podcast. Andy, is there anything you want to tell the kids before we go?
Well, I'd like to announce a guest, but we have several in the works that we're trying to confirm. So follow that Twitter feed or do that Discord thing for the first word on stuff. So that's going to happen.
Yeah,
soon.
if you join our
soon.
Patreon at any dollar amount, you get access to our VIP Discord channel, which we announce things early. We bounce ideas off of our listeners. We really do treat you guys, any of our patrons, like they are our VIPs to us, because you are. All of our listeners are, but our Patreon people that support us monetarily also support us creatively, and we do appreciate that.
But knowing us, by the time
Yep.
this show goes up, we'll have like 3 guests already lined up, ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
And also,
Without a
one
doubt.
last thing for our listeners out there. Any indie devs or games you want us to cover or get on the show, please let us know.
Yeah,
That's all I want to say.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You tell us what you want to know
Yeah,
about.
why
We'll
not?
dig around and see if we can find them. All right, that's it. Andy, thank you so much for joining me. Ian, it was a pleasure hanging out with you.
So much fun.
Awesome as always. We can't wait to hear more about Cosmos Quickstop, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck, and you have our support 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Ian. That is it, folks. Until next time, take care, and as always, please be excellent to each other.